In this video, we'll carry on building the dashboard. We build the next 3 visualization by drag and drop. What is the transaction by flag type? What is the average per square feet by level and flat model? And what is the average per square feet and transaction trend? Next, I will show you what is chart suggestion. This is the dashboard that we are building. We'll proceed to build these 3 visualizations. In Click, there's no need to know what is the type of visualization that you want to build. Instead, you can just ask the question, ask the business question, and drag and drop the fields that supports your business question, and you see how Click actually recommends you what is the best way to visualize your data. So we'll do the first one, number of transactions by flag type. Go back to your dashboard. Under the master item, drag out the transaction. Next, go to Field and look for flag type. Drag the flag type and drop into your transaction. But before that, when you drag the flag type, you actually go to the side of the visualization that you want to drop, and you actually say create a new chart. What it does is it actually creating another chart for you. So now you actually have 2 charts. One is transaction, one is flag type. So if you make a mistake, what you can do is you can click on this button to undo, or on your keyboard Ctrl+Z. So what you need to do is drag the flag type and make sure the whole transaction visualization is being highlighted, and you drop the flag type in. That's what you can see. When I drag in the transaction, it shows me as a KPI object. But once I drop in the flag type, it actually changed to a bar chart. This is the effect of the chart suggestion that is in play now. So if you go to the right hand side, you can see chart suggestion is being turned on, and there's an auto bar chart. So right now it's recommending the type of visualization based on the data that it has dropped in. To change it to a pie chart, what you can do is click on this auto bar chart here and see what are the recommended charts. It's bar chart and table. And if you scroll down, you'll be able to see other charts, line chart, pie chart, etc. So in this example, I want to change it to a pie chart. I can click on this to change. Okay, so now you see a pie chart, and I want to resize the pie chart to fit a quarter of the remaining space. So I use this to expand it. Next, I want to build this visualization. The background of this visualization is, in Singapore, when we talk about HDB flat, we have the notion that when you go higher, you actually get more and more expensive. Is it true? So what we want to do is to use this visualization to answer this question. Is it true that when you go higher in terms of the level, in this example, we actually use the story range, is the average per square feet getting higher? Okay, same thing. Remember the business question. I want to look at average per square feet. So I'll drag out my average per square feet, resize it to a quarter here. Next, I want to look at level. So I go to fields, look for story range. In this example, story range represents the level, and we drag the story range into average per square feet. And now you see a bar chart showing you what is average per square feet for all the different levels. From here you can see that the higher the level, the average per square feet is higher. So from 49 to 51, the highest, down to 16 to 18. But in this example, I want to introduce another dimension into the visualization, which is the flat model. So drag the flat model in to your visualization and drop, and you show you as a bar chart. And let's change the visualization to something else, something more readable. So click on the auto bar chart here and choose the distribution plot. Let's maximize the chart. So you can maximize the chart by hovering on the chart and select full screen. If you can't see the full screen menu item, you can click on the three dot. There is a full screen here. So under here, you can just see that the higher you go, the average per square feet is getting more. But it also depends on the flat model. Let's proceed to create the last chart here, which is the average per square feet transaction trend. So what you need to do is first drag in your average per square feet under the master item. Dragging your transaction over the average per square feet. And now you see another kind of visualization. This is what we term as the second KPI. So when you look at average per square feet, average resale price, as a viewer, sometimes it's very hard for them to visualize whether this KPI is performing, is not performing, whether is it good or bad. So by giving the second KPI, we can actually give a context to the first KPI. For example, the average per square feet for this month, the average per square feet for last month. So as a viewer, they can start to compare the two numbers and then they can determine whether is it better or is it worse. Or you can put a percentage. It can be a percentage increase, percentage drop, and you can use color coding. For a better results, you can put green. For a worse result, you can actually put red. So that at a glance, the viewer can see that probably all the three KPI is green and one of the KPI is red, so that he can drill down to the red KPI. So let's proceed to drag in the month onto this visualization. And instead of KPI, now we can actually see this as a combo chart. Let's expand it further and take a look. A combo chart in this example is actually very useful to visualize two information, the average PSF and the transaction over time. So if you look at the bar, it actually represents the transaction. You can see that over time, there is a seasonality. At the end of the year and the beginning of the year, the number of transactions is lower, probably because of the Christmas, New Year, Chinese New Year period. Less people want to sell or buy houses. During the beginning of 2020, in the month of February, March, April, there is a sharp decline in the number of transactions. This is probably due to the circuit breaker because of the pandemic. There are lesser number of transactions being transacted, but one thing to highlight is even though the circuit breaker is there, there are still transactions happening. So probably because of the previous month where they have already viewed the house, they have already proceeded to transact the house, to sell and to buy the house, and this is to complete the transaction. And once the circuit breaker is over, you can actually see that the number of transactions actually rebounded. Next, the red line here shows the average per square feet. So it hovers around 420 and it actually increases up to 460. And when you look at the average per square feet, you have to look at the axis also. For the number of transactions, the bar chart is actually using the left axis, whereas the average per square feet is using the right axis. So what happens if I put them on the same axis? So just try to simulate. Instead of using the combo chart, I use the line chart to simulate. So if I put that on the same axis, for the number of transactions, you can still see the up and down. But for the average per square feet, it's very hard to see because it's hovering between 420 to 460. So in this example, by using a combo chart, you actually put two of the information together and you can see the trend over time. Since 2017, the average per square feet in the Singapore HDB landscape has increased significantly over the past 14 months.